Just real quickly, we're going to do introductions. I've introduced myself. We also have with us today Zoe McCall, who is our senior solution consultant, who's going to help us with the demo. And we have other folks on the call as well that will be able to participate and answer questions as they come up, depending on where those questions go. So with that, I'm going to talk a little bit about PeopleFluent and LTG. So for folks on the session that haven't seen this information kind of presented in this way before, LTG is our parent company. PeopleFluent was acquired by LTG late last year, and really PeopleFluent is a major part of LTG, the largest product company or platform company that LTG has as part of a group of companies. But LTG in itself is broken into content and services companies and software and platform companies. So one of the other things that you may also see is that some of the companies on the platform side were actually previously part of PeopleFluent that we reorganized, bringing out Infirmity and Vector VMS, which is a contingent workforce labor solution, and Infirmity workforce diversity and inclusion, and affirmative action planning, and really consulting services around that. With that's accelerated by a platform. But effectively, you have two major pillars within LTG, with PeopleFluent sitting on the software and platform side. I think it is important to note that all of these products and services are things that are available to our entire customers through PeopleFluent. So what's great about this is that we have many of our clients today that are now accessing content creation services through Leo, risk and compliance courses through Uclea, gamification through preloaded, authoring and pervasive video through Gomo, as well as all the other products and services that we take to market. So our mission is to create the most holistic set of products and services to service the learning and talent market in the world, and we're pretty proud of what we put together so far, and looking forward to sharing you just one slice of that capability today on the call. So this is where we live, many places. We do have a global footprint that includes our Hong Kong offices and headquartered in London, as well as our U.S. headquarters, which is in Raleigh, which I'm actually calling in from Raleigh today. But we also have an office in Waltham, Atlanta, Dallas, Nashville, as well in the U.S. So this hopefully gives some perspective of us being able to give you service that's local as well as global. All right. So core to our belief, and I'm going to talk a little bit, just a minute, about our entire solution set at PeopleFluent. So kind of stepping away from the LTG conversation and really focusing on PeopleFluent. But one of the things that we do believe is that one vendor can't do it all. And this is something that Gartner says. It has to do with, many providers today have, core HR, and they've added certain components to their solution, which is great. But we want to be able to provide to the market, an integrated talent solution that includes learning, performance, succession, compensation, recruiting, and onboarding. But we also want to be able to unplug our solutions and be able to fit them into whatever ecosystem an organization has, because where there may be very specific use cases that an organization needs, not necessarily point solutions, but more robust solutions in certain areas, and we want to be able to provide that, and we believe we have the solutions that do provide that. So just real briefly, we offer a fully integrated talent management solution, as well as the ability to unplug those and individually deploy any of these solutions. So why is that important? I think is, that ability to capitalize on our integration, which is a platform, which is a video, we call it the productivity platform, which wraps all of these modules together. And it's, through a social and video kind of infused framework that allows the workflow of these talent and learning work or processes to be actually managed in a very unique way through this productivity platform. So, like I mentioned earlier, we have recruitment and onboarding. We also have a learning as well as authoring and video learning capabilities. But today we're going to focus in on performance and succession, but also be aware that we also have a very robust compensation, one of the industry-leading compensation platforms as well, that really helps organizations optimize and use and really use best practices on how to make sure that you're compensating and reward and merit increases and all of that across your compensation value. So for another day, but we'd love to share that with you at some point as well. So with that, we're going to go into performance and succession. And Zoe, what I want to do now is just hand over control to you so we can get right into a demonstration, and then we can go into any kinds of questions and answers you may have.
All right, perfect. So just to quickly check, can you guys now see, or Bill, can you now see my screen with the application shown?
I can, Zoe, thank you.
Okay, perfect. So to go ahead and get us started, I will just quickly mention that I will be taking you through a very high-level demonstration of our performance and succession solutions from the perspective of a manager within our organization by the name of Elizabeth Clark. And when Elizabeth logs into the application, she might land on a home summary dashboard, or more specifically within this example, a performance dashboard from within what we call our productivity platform. So for those of you that haven't seen this productivity platform before, it's going to be a tool that really enables you to personalize and tailor a unique experience for each of your varying populations that might be accessing the tool. And this productivity platform is also going to give you the flexibility to really ensure that you're putting the right information in front of each population to really enable them to do their jobs effectively. And so as we take a look at an example performance dashboard like the one that I've configured that you see on my screen, it is important to note that everything on these dashboard pages is going to be configurable to you as an organization. So of course, you will have control to determine the look and feel of these dashboard pages, as well as, of course, the content that actually appears on these dashboard pages for each of your varying populations. And so taking a look at how I've configured this dashboard for a manager, viewing his performance, when Elizabeth logs into the application and wants to understand what am I supposed to be doing at any given point in time, she might have access to her tasks. And these tasks will show based upon where she falls in a given process in combination with the specific items that she has to complete. As she wants to understand a little bit more surrounding the timing of some of these processes, or even how to go about completing a particular task, she might also have access to a key dates or key timelines container, as well as the use of video. So for those of you leveraging GOMO within your LMS today, those same features and functionalities are going to be available throughout the performance and succession solutions as well. And of course, as you'll notice, we can embed those videos on these dashboard pages, as well as throughout the flow of work, which I'll show you an example of as well. You'll also notice as part of these dashboard pages, we can embed different types of reports and analytics. So you can see the sample goal status summary analytic that will give managers the ability to track the status of goals across their team in real time. And then for those of you looking to move towards a more continuous feedback model, we can also generate that feedback directly from these initial landing pages of the application. We can support, of course, the ability to request feedback from others within the organization, as well as simply give feedback. So of course, this give feedback page is going to be, again, configurable to different types of feedback you're looking to gather. But when I click on this option to select employees, I can actually search from across the organization to maybe find someone that I've worked very closely with on a project during the year, in which maybe I want to give some feedback. Or in the case of me as a manager, I might also want to send some feedback to one of my direct reports throughout the year as well. As such, I can individually or multi-select. And then if I want to allow for categorization of feedback or just the ability to type in what the feedback is regarding. But what's most interesting about this feature is I can then align this feedback to this individual's goals and or competencies. Now, system is, of course, pulling in any goals that have been set up as part of a goal setting process, as well as any competencies that maybe are aligned to that employee's job. And then from there, I can choose which goals and competencies I want to align this feedback to. Now, any feedback that is sent throughout the year is then going to flow back into subsequent evaluations. So as I navigate back to my performance dashboard, you'll notice that one of my tasks here includes a task to complete a final evaluation. Before I jump into that process to illustrate that feedback flowing back into that evaluation, I want to quickly mention the other types of tasks that you're seeing here. So due to the configurability of our performance solution, in addition to being able to support things like goal setting processes, interim evaluations or check-ins, as well as year-end evaluations, we can also support a wide variety of other types of evaluations that you see some examples of here. This, of course, is just a sample list of processes, and really will work with you to understand the different types of processes you're looking to support. But those might include everything from multi-rater 360 processes, talent assessment processes, PIP plans, etc. And so to illustrate what an example year-end evaluation might look like, I'm going to go ahead and reference this task here and navigate into a year-end evaluation for one of my direct reports, Lisa Cryan. And you'll notice when I navigate into this process, herein lies another example of where that video can be triggered for that just-in-time learning. So as I actually navigate into a process, before I'm able to transact, I can be prompted to consume and watch a video. Now, the nice part about video in this context is I can actually collapse it so it doesn't appear every time I come into this process. But as additional questions come up, as I'm completing a year-end evaluation, I can come back into the video to get my questions addressed in a timely manner so I continue moving on. Once I collapse my video, you're now seeing an example year-end evaluation. At the top of the screen, you're able to see the workflow process that has been defined for this year-end evaluation. And what's most important to know is that you as an organization will have full control over these workflow processes and associated forms. Okay, so you can control the steps in the process, the order of those steps, who owns each step, etc. In this example process that we've configured, you'll notice that the employee has already self-evaluated, and now as a manager, I'm able to complete the manager evaluation portion of this evaluation. As part of the content that we're able to embed as part of these processes, in this example, we've included the assessment of goals, which are carried forward from any goal setting process that I've set up goals at the beginning of the year. You'll notice, like, as a manager, I can see an employee rating now alongside my own, and I'm able to provide additional comments. I'm also able to access any sort of check-in comments that may have been captured throughout the year. And here is an example of where that feedback lives for any feedback that has been associated to an individual goal and or competency. So all that information can be accessed as part of the evaluation to help inform my decisions. Very similar, I'm also able to pull in competencies. Now, again, these can be job-related competencies, these can be plan-level competencies, etc. And very similarly, I've configured it such that we can weight those competencies and allow for an employee as well as a manager rating. And then, of course, we're able to define an overall performance rating. So as some populations in your organization might require a calculated rating, we can, of course, accommodate for that calculation based on whatever formula you guys leverage. And then we can also allow for manager override. I won't go through all the buttons that you see across the bottom of my screen, but of course we can also support things like spell check and legal scan, as well as the ability to bulk evaluate my population, so it's not necessarily a one-by-one. And then we can, of course, also allow for delegation. Okay, so if you have any sort of matrix reporting relationships in your organization, or maybe you know that your manager is going out on vacation for a duration of time and you want to share access into this employee's evaluation with another individual from the organization, we can accommodate that through the use of delegation. So now that we've seen where an overall performance rating might be defined, to show you where all that information is stored for a given individual, I want to take you into an employee talent profile. So this, of course, is going to be the hub of all employee information. And of course, as you'll notice across the left-hand side, we can accommodate for a wide variety of different types of data to live as part of this employee profile. This profile will be a combination of all the data that you're feeding in from your HRIS system, as well as any data that you're capturing as part of the application itself. So that, of course, includes performance ratings, any sort of compensation information, as well as all those LMS activities. Another option available within the employee talent profile is the ability to enable career planning. So this career plan is going to enable you to display a career path for each of your defined roles. And as part of this path as an employee, I'm able to now see my current role in the center, common previous roles to my left, and common future roles to my right. And what's most powerful about these career paths is every job within the path is now a clickable job profile. So I can actually click into this job to view additional information, including a job description, as well as any sort of required job competencies. As part of the required job competencies, I can also see required minimum ratings that have been set for this role, as well as how I stack up against those required ratings. If there is development required, the system will automatically flag that competency with the orange icon, and I can go ahead and define development activities to help close those gaps directly within this page. For those jobs that are of specific interest to me, I can then from here add it as a career aspiration. Now, of course, all these aspirations will then be surfaceable within succession planning itself. In addition to viewing my own talent profile, I can very easily toggle over to one of my direct reports, where you'll notice I can now view additional information about them. So one example specifically might be talent assessment. Okay, so this might be where all of that potential, promotability, all that confidential information lives for that given employee. Again, this information can be captured within a performance process itself, as well as can be captured directly within the employee talent profile. Another option is the ability to access and view the employee's individualized succession plan. So what I'm able to see in this page for Lisa is her current role in the middle. I can see how many individuals she's slated for up top. And then I can also see how many individuals had been slated for her position down below with their associated readiness values. From here, I can jump directly into succession. But before I do that, I want to take you into calibration, and then we'll go into succession from there. So now that we've seen kind of where we can define overall performance rating, we've seen where all of that confidential talent assessment information lives. What a lot of our customers then will do is they want to calibrate their populations. And to do so, as I navigate into our calibration functionality, you'll notice that we can calibrate by, of course, the common performance by potential matrix, but we actually allow you to calibrate by a wide variety of other data elements as well. And just to give you an example of what those could look like, as I navigate into this session, which is leveraging the common performance by potential matrix, You'll notice the system, once defined the population that you want to participate, is actually going to dynamically plot those individuals in each appropriate cell based upon their previously assigned ratings. Okay. Now, as part of these conversations, as part of these sessions, we can actually facilitate those talent review conversations by allowing you to hover over any individual within the session to view additional key attributes about them. And we'll circle back to this information, as some of those key attributes might include succession-specific information. I can also click into an individual's name to view historical calibration session information about them. I can also from here drill into their talent profile. So I have access to kind of a full view of employee information as I'm having those talent review conversations. You'll notice we can also display varying flags for session participants, so I can see those with specific loss impact ratings or specific flight risk ratings. And I can also run filters within the session as well to allow certain managers to present their team first, or maybe I want to only see those with a specific promotability value, et cetera. As you might permission, then we can also enable the interactivity of participants in a session. So as you're having those conversations, as you're discussing individual employees, we can also enable the ability to drag and drop people into different cells. Okay, this effectively would alter their ratings. And then as an output to these sessions, we can push those new ratings back into their performance evaluation as well as back into their employee talent profile. Okay, so we're always tracking those most up-to-date ratings. That being said, as an output to these sessions then, you can also look to those in the top right-hand corner, right? And maybe you want to invite them to participate in a leadership development group. And very similarly, you can look at those in the bottom left-hand corner, and maybe you want to assign them additional development, or maybe mark them for performance improvement, which might then auto-initiate a PIP plan. Okay, so all that is possible as part of these talent review conversations. And then, as I mentioned, we're also able to embed succession-specific attributes. So maybe I want to look at very specifically Lisa Cryan, who's sitting in a critical role for our organization. I can see that she's slated for one other position, and she has 4 slated candidates on her role. I can click into that icon to see who those successors are on her position, and from here I can directly manage her slate. This, of course, would bring me into her position slate, where I can see the detailed information about those slated lists of candidates. In addition to managing a slate, you'll notice we can also manage a pool of candidates. If you want to track a list of individuals that require some level of development before then being promoted to the slate. And of course, we can also allow for a consideration list, so a private area for the planner themselves to groom a list of candidates before they'd be promoted to the pool or the slate. Now, when it comes to actually sourcing talent to be placed in a slate or a pool, when I click Add Successors, you'll notice we have a wide variety of different types of search functions that can be leveraged to source talent from across the organization. So those options might include job competencies match. So as I'm planning for this specific position, I can see what those required competencies are for that role. I can individually select minimum ratings and then run a search across the organization to see who in the organization is performing at those defined levels. I can also leverage recommended sources. So those who have raised their hand for this role as a career aspiration, I can surface all that information in those populations as part of these career aspirations match and manager nominated options. Okay, and any of these options I can individually or multi-select individuals and place them either on the slate, the pool, or the consideration list. If I go back to my succession dashboard, the last couple of things to mention as part of succession is, in addition to planning by position, we also enable the ability to plan for jobs. Okay, so as you have high turnover roles, We can enable you to plan at the job level instead of the individual positions that roll into that job. And then we can also enable the ability to plan for what we call strategic talent pools. Okay, so as you have diversity initiatives that you want to track within the organization, or maybe you want to pool for high potential employees, we can enable the ability to create those pools and then add candidates to those pools for reporting purposes. Now, as an output to succession, so once we've seen where performance ratings are defined, where talent assessment information is gathered, how we've calibrated our populations as needed, and then we've run searches for successors and pool members against those critical roles, we're also then able to display that information and surface that information in, of course, reports within the application, as well as the ability to surface all that information in a more visual format in the use of organization charts. Okay, so this organization chart is, of course, showing our direct reporting hierarchy, so that information coming from your HRIS system. And then in addition to those individuals within the hierarchy, we're able to show information specific to the performance and succession-related processes. Okay, so within this view, I'm able to see what is the flight risk for a specific incumbent, right? How many positions is this individual slated for? How many candidates are slated on this individual's position, et cetera. Okay. So kind of a far more visual way of understanding and consuming information. And then just to illustrate an example report, as I navigate to my succession dashboard, where I might have some key reports already defined, I might want to then surface critical roles, my bench strengths for those critical roles. So as I navigate into this report, you'll notice that all of our reports are available in a smart grid format, which are very, very flexible and configurable formats to enable those within the organization to come in, set additional columns of information if there's additional information they want to view as part of this report. They can run filters within the report. They can sort on any column of information. They can, of course, generate graphical representations of data. And then, of course, they can always run that information in a formalized Excel, CSV, XML report, as well as the ability to run in a PDF report or a PowerPoint presentation as well. Okay. The last thing I will mention as part of the reporting function is that the tool does come out of the box with a wide variety of pre-configured reports available. So as an organization, you guys can tailor those reports as needed. You guys can create new reports as needed. So it's really just a jumping off point for you. So you're not ever having to start from scratch. Okay. So I know I went quickly through everything. I will pause now. I don't know, Megan or Bill, if we have questions that have come in. If not, we can open the floor for any questions from anyone on the line.
We had two questions come in. One talking about when you were on the calibration pages, is this where you could manage a 9-box report?
It absolutely is. Yeah, so the different axes and the rating scales are going to be completely dependent upon your organizational scales. So if you have a 3x3, that is absolutely where you can run a true 9-box session.
Okay, great. And one other question, I know you talked about in the beginning some different types of plans that that you can manage in here. What about like a probationary plan, say for the first 90 days, you wanted to track some different things for new hires?
It's a great question. So we see that a lot across our customer base. We can certainly build in new hire probationary plans that actually auto-initiate on a 30, 60, 90-day period. And of course, again, due to the flexibility of those workflows and forms, you guys can really configure those processes to look and feel however you like. So if you're looking to just track and update development goals or inclusion of competencies, all of those options are available to you as part of those new hire plans.
Awesome. Those are the questions that came in. Thanks, Zoe.
All right. For anyone else on the line, do you guys have any questions that you didn't necessarily send into the questions feed?
No, it doesn't sound like there are. And thank you so much, Zoe, for just walking us through. And this was just a very quick snapshot of performance and succession and calibration processes. So thank you very much for that. Happy to, if anybody wants kind of a deeper dive into this, please reach out to the account manager that you work with, and we can set up a more comprehensive overview, and then specific to your organization. So I think that could be very interesting if there's interest on your side. We're definitely interested on our side to be able to show you more, as well as all the other parts of the integrated talent platform that we have that I mentioned before: compensation, recruitment, different areas in learning which you may be not using today, but that you can take advantage of if you're using our learning platform. So very interested in keeping the conversation going. And Zoe and Megan, thank you again for sharing with us today what the demo is. And unless there's any other questions, then we'll close the session and look forward to the next conversations that we have about products. All right. Okay. Thanks, everybody. You have a wonderful day.